If you meet a blind person and ask them this question, there is a very good chance that they will tell you a lie. And this is it. If you ask someone who is blind, can you see? And they answer no, there's a really good chance that is not the truth. Here's why. Hi, my name is Josh Tseng. Welcome back to my channel where I talk about what it's like to live with blindness. On this channel, I've talked a little bit about how, people with disabilities or people with vision impairments have their interactions with the rest of society. I've made a few videos on that already. But one of the things that I haven't covered yet is how we might sort of obscure the truth, not to be malicious, but out of convenience, especially when answering questions from the public. And one of the most common questions we get asked is, can you see? Or are you really blind? Or more specifically, are you totally blind? And for most of us who are severely vision impaired, a lot of the times we will answer, yes, we are totally blind, or no, we can't see at all. But that is actually not the truth. But like I said, we're not trying to be malicious, it's just a matter of convenience. So let's break down this very commonly asked question and our very common response, and why is it that this is one of the most common lies that people with blindness will tell other people. So the first part of breaking this down is answering the question, why is this even a lie in the first place? And the answer to that is that there are many different levels of blindness, and not everyone who is legally blind or severely vision impaired has the same amount of vision loss in the first place. As a matter of fact, less than 20% of people who are vision impaired are totally blind, meaning they have no light perception. There are different figures online, most of them are just estimates, but most commonly it's somewhere between 15 to 18%. So the vast majority of people who are legally blind or vision impaired are actually able to see some amount of light. They are not under the category of people who have no light perception. And for those under the category of people who have some level of light perception, there can be many different amounts of vision loss and types of vision loss. And even in the same person, the amount of vision that they have in their two eyes may be completely different. And for example, I am a good example of this. For both my eyes, my vision field is roughly less than 10%, and I have what is called tunnel vision, where the peripheral vision around the edges has disappeared. And so the vision that I have left is in the center of what normal people can see, and my right eye has slightly narrower vision than my left eye. And on top of that, the clarity of vision in both my eyes is not the same. For my right eye, the best way I can describe it is that it looks like I'm looking through frosted glass, and this is caused by a combination of a calcium deposit on the lens of my eye and cataract. And on my left eye, I can see very blurry color. And so, can I technically see? Yes. But is this really useful vision on a day-to-day basis? No. I cannot read anything. I can barely make out colors that are in front of me unless it's in a really high contrast situation or is very well lit. And these days, I don't really rely on my eyesight for much of anything. I use a mobility cane while I'm out, and I use a screen reader to access my phone and my laptop. So while I'm not technically totally blind, I am functionally blind. And there are a lot of people who are in very similar situations to me, even though they can even technically see better than I can. For example, some conditions might not lead to tunnel vision like I have, and they would have, their total peripheral vision, but their entire vision is much blurrier than mine is. Or there are some people who have conditions that makes their eyes shake, called nystagmus, and I actually have a mild version of this, but because I don't rely on my eyesight for anything, it doesn't really affect me that much. But for some people who rely somewhat on their vision, this can be very distracting. And so just in a few minutes, I've described many different types of vision impairments caused by many different types of conditions. And in certain cases, you can have a combination of different types of conditions that can lead to different levels of blindness. Which is to say, blindness is complicated, yo. Like, it's not very straightforward. And so it is not easy to describe to people what you can and cannot see. Which leads me to my second point, which is, why do we even have to lie in the first place? And that is because it is not easy to describe vision impairment to people. I've just taken, I don't know, 5 minutes or so of your time describing it to you, and this is like a one-way communication, right? You're not asking me questions while I'm talking. So imagine if you're in a situation where you're outdoors and someone is asking you,
"Oh, can you see?"
And you say, well, technically yes, but no, but and naturally they're going to have a lot of questions for you if they are that type of person. And so it is just not realistic or convenient to explain to everyone in great detail what our vision impairment is really like. Which is why we are not trying to lie to you necessarily, but it is definitely not entirely truthful when we say that we cannot see at all. By the way, if you enjoy my content about what it's like to live with blindness, I just have one small request, which is for you to tickle the like button, hit subscribe, smash that notification bell so you can stay informed about my future uploads. I make videos every week, so stay tuned, and if you want to support my channel, I have a Patreon. That's patreon.com/Josh Tseng. That's patreon.com/JOSHTSENG. You can make a contribution to different tiers if you would like to support my mission to educate the world about what it's like to live with a disability, so thanks. And so to wrap up, why am I making this video? I'm not trying to expose all blind people. I'm one of these people as well who would say things like, I can't see at all, even though I technically can. But what I'm here to illustrate is, two things. Number one is that vision impairments, like I've described already, are on a spectrum, like many other things in life. Not everyone who has a hearing-related disability is totally deaf, and maybe something that is more close as a parallel, even though it might not make as much immediate sense, is autism, right? That is also another one of those things that is on a spectrum with many different forms and manifestations. The second part of what I want to make this video for is to illustrate that, not every blind person can have the time or energy or desire to answer all of your questions. And I've actually made an entire video about this, which is why it's potentially rude to ask people with disabilities questions about their disability. You can check this video out here, and even though this particular question of whether or not blind people can see is not as egregious as some of the rest, maybe watching that video can give you some perspective as well. So if you see someone out on the street with a mobility cane or a guide dog, should you avoid asking them questions entirely? Well, no. But maybe instead of asking them if they can see, because clearly they have some kind of vision problem, maybe it might be more constructive to ask people like us if we need help or if we are okay. Because really, if we have a mobility cane or a guide dog, even if we technically can see, we are legally blind. And so the answer to your question, if we can see, would be some variation of no. So hopefully you enjoyed that video, and if you want to check out my previous video on why it is rude to ask people with disabilities questions about their disabilities, the link is in the description below. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!